have you seen those memes with like the picture of the woman? I think she usually has brown hair and like a red dress, and she's like, come on, time to do the thing. And then there's a picture of this like incredibly emaciated face, just like, yes. It's like, come on, Hamish, time to do the podcast. And you're like, okay, Wilkie. And you're like dying. Your skin is falling off because it's so dry, like a mummy.
That's my life anyway, Wilkie. Yeah, I'm like a mummy. I'm covered in like eczema. That's a joke.
I don't think
eczema
it's eczema.
Sufferers.
I'm going to go ahead and suggest that what mummies have isn't eczema.
Mummies have 99 problems, but eczema ain't one.
Eczema ain't one. At least not an eczema diagnosis, because they wouldn't have known what that was. They probably just assumed it was the plague.
Everybody to another episode of a little show we like to do here at the weekends, or as you call it, Thursday. It's of course Boy Review, hosted by me, Hamish, and also Wilkie. I should preface this is not me, Hamish, that you were listening to a second ago, but me, Hamish, from the future. We forgot to record a podcast opening this week for reasons that will become clear in several minutes' time. So here's one now. We're going to get back to the conversation and you'll enjoy the show. Bye.
I definitely think, sort of as a general rule, ancient civilizations were much more intelligent than we give them credit for. Like, most of the things that these days are explained by, not explained, but like things where there are conspiracy theories like, aliens built the pyramids, aliens built the Easter Island heads, that sort of thing. It's mostly just people not giving credit disproportionately to countries that aren't in the modern West, not giving them credit for like genuinely impressive technological achievements. So there's videos of sort of examples of how they move the Easter Island heads. That there was an assumption like, they're images of aliens left by ancient visitors to prove their existence. No, you just have three groups of people, one behind and one either side. You lean it forward.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. And then you tie ropes all around it. Hey! The group at the back let the head lean forward slightly, and then the group side.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep making this more sense.
And then the groups either side pull it back and forth.
Wilkie, I don't know whether you're doing this on purpose now.
I'm not. No, okay, picture it. You've got the Easter Island head, right? It's leaning forward, and then as you pull it side to side, it walks. Like the side.
Yeah, I heard this.
And it walks forward, sort of, and they did that, like, in some cases, significant numbers of miles to get it to the right position.
Yeah, because people did all this stuff, and I think I don't want to be an archaeologist, Wilkie, because it would just be a lot of dirt, and I'm not a big fan of dirt. But one of the coolest and my favorite bits of archaeology is seeing this sort of, I don't know whether it counts as archaeology. I keep saying that word, but I don't know if it's actually true.
Did you just say archaeology?
Nope, did not. Where they try and do something using instruments at the time. So like you talked about how, okay, they've tried to work out, okay, so these Easter Island heads did somehow get made somewhere and end up where they've ended up. And we kind of know where, we think we know where they were made, and we think we know, well, we know where they've ended up because we can find them there. We don't think that they're there.
That's where they are.
And so it's trying to get them from point A to point B, but then using tech, which we kind of can either assume or know that people had at the time. Another thing that is kind of interesting is in Peru, it's a South American country, and it's probably not great. I'm trying to lump them all into one, but there's the Nazca lines, and I think it's in Peru. They're in Peru.
Yeah, the like crop circle looking things.
Yeah, but like super duper complex. Like you've got a monkey, you've got a bunch of different animals. I think you've got a hummingbird, or it might be a representation of some kind of other creature. But all these other things, I think you've got one that looks a bit like a person. And what's incredible is they're in place where it's very, very flat, or the elevation would not be sufficient that you could look at it and see what these things were from the ground. Yet somehow they are very, very intricate and very, very accurate. So it's people trying to work out, well, did they just work this out and then plot them on the ground? Or, they came up with an idea of like, well, did they have a very, very early hot air balloon? And could they theoretically have, been able to elevate themselves to a point where they could look at them from above and then say, okay, this needs to be drawn a bit differently, that needs to be changed and all of that. Because, we have stuff similar that's in the UK, very different scales, a lot more crude, but you've got often those carvings into chalk.
Yeah, the what are they called? The man. The long man is the one I'm aware of.
The long man. Yeah, I think the long man, because that's fairly near here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where, because we're recording in the south of England, so it's fairly near to us. I say here as if we're both in the same place, but there's a long distance between the two of us.
In terms of how far away we could be, we're fairly we're fairly close on a universal scale.
On a universal scale,
negligible distance,
practically on top of each other.
Whoa, Hamish, whoa! Please, we both have girlfriends.
It's gonna be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Yeah, this is one of those episodes.
You've got the long man, and you can look from down the bottom of the hill, and you can be like, yeah, that looks like a man.
That's a humanoid
legs
figure
and arms. That's a humanoid.
A stick.
You got cast hold person on that thing.
Stick. Well, no, because it's a construct, isn't it?
Okay. It was a fun little D&D joke for all those D&D fun people out there.
That's good. I'm looking at pictures of the Nazca lines now. There's you were right. There's a spider, a tree, a hummingbird, a condor, a whale, a very good whale. The giant, the pelican, the dog, the monkey, the heron. Heron looks a bit zany. I'm not gonna lie, the heron looks a bit weird. Something called the phytomorphic glyphs, because I think it looks a bit like a plant. The hands, the parrot, the lizard, the spiral, and the flower.
Yeah, very cool. Well, see, Wilkie, do you know how I know about the Nazca lines? And I was really into them when I was a bit younger.
How do you know about the Nazca lines?
One word, three syllables. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh my god.
In Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which was was
that the one with motorbikes?
That was the one with motorbikes.
Oh, I used to watch that on TV. That was that would be on what was it even on? I don't know what channel it was on, but yeah.
Oh, one of them. One of my favorite series, actually, in terms of actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh, introduced like synchro summoning. My favorite kind of thing. The deck that I actually play with in real life, or have played with in real life, is based on the main character from that show, because I like the premise of having these very, very weak characters that you can just very easily get onto the field and then make a very, very powerful creature with them. But anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
Like Exodia.
Yeah, a lot like Exodia, but a lot easier to use. There was a 5Ds plotline. I think like it wasn't the first arc, but it was like the first proper arc where like the heroes have to fight a big villain, whereas like the previous arcs were just like small spats between people. Was these creatures, were these villains that were drawing on power from the Nazca lines. So like they had these very powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I remember one guy had the dolphin. Dolphin was really cool because it had a really powerful defense, and it could attack. It could attack you directly, even if it was in defense mode. So like it was able to block attacks and still deal damage out, which I thought was really fun.
When normally those two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah, you can only be defending or attacking. There were others, like there was one based on the giant. There was one based on the hummingbird, the lizard, and the hummingbird or the Quetzalcoatl. I can't remember. One
condor.
Some bird. The condor.
It's like a big vulture.
It was very,
thing.
very cool. Yeah, it was big. It was a big, scary Yu-Gi-Oh monster as well. See,
most Yu-Gi-Oh monsters are quite scary.
Well, my other favorite deck are the Crystal Beasts, and they are not scary. They're just these fun, like, cute little critters, and they got crystals in them.
Okay, I'm
if you
Googling.
defeat them, they turn into crystals. They're my favorite. That's what I play with on the Yu-Gi-Oh app, because the Crystal Beast deck's actually fairly cheap to run. You don't have to spend much money to get it. When I was younger, the thing I did really want was a working duel disc. So the thing where you could put the cards into something, and you could have the big animated monsters appear and have them fight.
Okay. You wanted it working in that sense.
Yeah, I had a dual disc. I had one of the because I remember I think it was at TK Maxx, because TK Maxx did sell toys. As anyone that isn't from the UK, I assume most people are from the UK listening to this podcast, because there's a lot of our friends. You can buy not just clothes at TK Maxx, but you can buy toys as well. And I had one of the ones from it was actually one of the Evil Guys' dual discs, but it was the only one I could find, so I had to go with that one. And then a few years later, at a car boot sale, I found a dual disc that was based on the one from Battle City, which is like the iconic looking dual disc. And it did this really cool thing. Like, it was in two parts. So it's got this central hub circular bit that sits on your arm. And then there's a long line on it where you can put the cards on it. That long bit split into two. So it would be either side of your arm. And then you could like hold it up, push a little toggle on the back, and then it would sort of do a cool thing and it would form a disc like it did in the show. And it was very, very cool.
That sounds cool.
So my friends had the one from GX, which was the next series. GX was very, very good. Though, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a motorbike for
That's
5Ds.
too bad.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
too
right?
bad.
My parents wouldn't buy me a motorbike to play card games on.
Yeah,
Turns out that
what's up
they're
with that?
Expensive, right?
And
Come on,
dangerous, and you can't ride a bike, you're 8.
What's several £1,000 for your child's happiness, right? Come on, come on, mum and dad. Get me a motorbike.
Surely that's worth it.
Wilkie, what was your expensive hobby as a kid? Like, what were you into?
Warhammer was a very expensive hobby. As far as I can tell, it's only got more expensive now that I've stopped playing. I used to collect Skaven, these little rat men. And the thing with Skaven that I like, so there was a starter set, right? And you got 2 small armies. So you could get one starter set between 2 people and have enough to play the game, right? And it was called the Island of Blood. Nice sort of classic sort of pulpy fantasy vibes. There was some sort of relic on this island that both the Skaven and the High Elves wanted. I took the Skaven army. My friend Oscar took the High Elf army. And for the next, I'd say solidly, maybe even like 7 or 8 years, he consistently beat me at Warhammer. It was the most demoralizing thing ever. I did not win a single game of Warhammer against him. High Elves were the most busted army in whatever edition of Warhammer it was I was playing. And it was stupid because it was stupid, right? The whole point of Skaven was that you had a large army, strength in numbers. You got to put a larger number of units in like one block than other armies could, and a lot of your troops would get spears and stuff, so you could attack with like multiple rows of people in these huge blocks. And that's great, right? That's brilliant. You can put out so many attacks, so much damage, which doesn't really help when your enemy's one spellcaster just routs your entire army turn 1 because you've got such terrible leadership scores. Because the Skaven are also very cowardly. Is like a fun character trait they have, is they're already cowardly. All High Elves, so your stats go from 1 to 10, right? All High Elves, regardless of their position, have a leadership score of 10. They are the most loyal and brave soldiers in the game. Skaven, even they're like the general, right? The highest leadership character you can put on the board had a leadership of 7.
Ugh, gonna run.
Yeah. Oscar's army had a spell that just dealt damage based on the difference between leadership scores, or like a check based on your leadership scores. I think you rolled dice equal to your leadership score. So he'd roll 10 dice. I would roll for some of my units, they had leadership of like 2.
2 dice.
Yeah, versus his 10, and then they'd just all die, and I was like, oh, what's the point anyway? And I spent so much money on like new units trying to counter him, and it just never worked. Right? I had these special units called gutter runners that could start the game on his side of the board, like behind all his heavily armored troops. No, they'd just turn around and kill me instantly. Because he had these people with these great, like, massive swords. And the thing with having a great weapon like that, they were just, any heavy weapon was classified as a great weapon. It meant that you would attack second out of any encounter. So, like, my troops could walk up and attack them first. And then when they attacked, they'd have fewer troops, so they had that disadvantage of going second. Oh, they would if all high elves didn't have always strikes first, regardless of what weapon they're wielding. It was so busted, I swear. So
that did seem like someone was like, you know what, high elves, they're high, like they have to be the best.
They have
like,
to be the best, right?
They have the high ground. Therefore, like,
yeah,
Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, the high elf, has to win.
So these gutter runners, they'd like, they're on your side of the board. They're going to sneak attack you, like a rogue in D&D. I'll do a load of damage. No, they're just all dead. There's 3 of them. There's 3, and they have no armor and no health.
That is busted. I played Warhammer for a bit, and I had wood elves.
Oh, you're just as bad. Fuck you.
Well, I thought wood elves were really. I went fully based on what I thought looked cool, and I thought wood elves looked really, really cool. And I think there was a similar thing where I think as well a part of it was you could get them like a starter box for each army.
Yeah.
And I think at my local,
about the size of an A4 piece of paper, you'd get like enough to have a.
Oh, I had a bigger one. Mine was like.
They might have been bigger. I know that.
A bit more.
I saw one.
I think it was about as long as I think it was a square. Like it was an A4 piece of paper. But it was like the long side.
Yeah.
As a square box. And I think part of the reasons why I got wood elves was that was the one that they had the box for and they had the book for when I went to get into it, because I went to visit one of my friends and he had dark elves, and so I thought like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Very edgy. Dark elves, the one of the reasons why Warhammer had an age restriction, because one of the higher point cost, because you'd measure your army strength in terms of points, so like a smaller army of weaker, a bigger army of weaker enemies had the same point value as a small army of strong enemies. Some of the more high-level units for Dark Elf armies just straight up had breasts just out with, like, nipples molded onto the model. Like, just bare boobs. I think they were called harpies. And they were just
that's a bit weird.
Just
you
naked,
could paint them.
Naked bird women. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you'd paint them. And the picture on the box had, like, the different areas were differentiated by color. Yeah. There was like
okay.
I don't know what we're allowed to say on the show. Can I say areola?
Yeah, yes, you could say. Is it? I thought it was areola as well.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
the area of the areola. What is it? 2 pi r?
Quote.
I don't know. What's the
pi
area?
r squared?
Yeah, pi r squared.
Because an area would be r squared. You'd have to have a square in there somewhere. But yeah, because because my lockdown thing has been Lego. I've talked a lot about Lego on the show, but one of my friends' lockdown thing has been Warhammer, but not to play it. He's just been getting some of these boxes, of one army, so he could theoretically play it if he wanted to, but just painting them and just going through and painting the next model on his list. And he's doing it fully, doing all the whole do a black or whatever color base layer with spray paint, and then, doing all these extra coats and spending, a whole weekend doing one figure.
No, I used to get quite into the painting of my Skaven as well. There was a degree of detail to which I would not go, because, where a high elf or a wood elf army would have like these 10 really cool warriors to paint, I had 50 Skaven slaves to paint, right? And they've all got robes and weapons. And so I was like, screw it. I base coat them all white, and then I paint the weapons silver, I paint the flesh pink, and I cover it in like a dirty wash. And then they just look like grimy idiots. And that counts. But
we should definitely do Warhammer. You should get your at some point when we're allowed to get your Skaven out. I'll dig out my wood elves, because I reckon like Izzy and I would probably have a lot of fun like painting them at some point, just as like we could even I reckon like a lot of our group would have fun just like painting things. We could get like all these different things and just be like, let's just spend some time like painting and doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember I got a book. I got a book of like advanced painting techniques, and it was really cool because it had like the back cover of it opened up into this like wedge shape, so you could fold to the page you wanted, right, and then open it up and stand it on the table next to you. And I got really good at stuff like I would do like rust and verdigris on my like on the more the more important figures. I had this thing called a death roller, I think, that was this big hamster wheel full of rats that would just move.
Yeah.
It would just move around randomly and sometimes explode. It was not worth what I paid for the model, nor the points I paid to include it in my army. That was the other thing. The reason that losing to Oscar felt so bad was because he never expanded his army. He had this like 500 point army from the starter set. I could push mine to 3,000 points, right? If I gave like some of my commander's magic items and stuff. I still couldn't win. It was so infuriating. But yeah, like on this death roller on my general, like the general had a sword that was like covered in verdigris, like this ancient weapon that he held.
That's really cool. And I remember as well, because I had some really cool stuff as well. Like I had like these buildings and I think I had like a little bit of decoration for the 1 or 2 times that I did actually play, because my dad played something. Oh, actually, my dad had Dark Elves, so I don't think my friend had Dark Elves. I think my friend might have had High Elves.
I hate High Elves.
But my dad had Dark Elves, and I think we played it very infrequently because like I don't know, I think Dad wanted to be like a cool dad, get involved in it, but it's just I don't think these kinds of games are his really sort of deal all the time. But I had some really cool stuff, and I reckon that'd be fun for like using in D&D if we ever get to do D&D in person again. That would be cool.
I definitely want to try a game of D&D because Warhammer, like you've probably picked up. I don't know if we should have maybe introduced what Warhammer is, but yeah, you play with these models on a table, and you move them around. They have set distances they can move, but it's not played on a grid like D&D usually is. So perhaps we could try like D&D but with more freeform movement. So instead of having a grid, you can move 6 inches, and you just like measure 6 inches and move it, and then you sort of have much more control over where you go. That could be fun.
That could be really cool,
especially on a really big map. Like I remember when you could buy like terrain pieces that were plastic, and you'd like paint them and you'd put grass on them and stuff. But really, there was nothing that could beat dragging the table out of the dining room into the living room, putting books on it, and then covering the books with a blanket.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's hills, baby. You've got a field with hills on it. It's brilliant.
There's books in them hills.
And then you realize you've included the rule book in one of the piles, and you've got to like dig under the piles to get the rule book out, and so the landscape starts collapsing as you extract the rule book from the pile of terrain.
This stuff's really cool. I love.
Yeah,
I want to do more.
So like what's the word? Nostalgic for D&D, not for D&D, for Warhammer, but like Skaven don't exist. Skaven don't exist anymore.
Do they not?
No, since they updated it from the version that I played to a version called Age of Sigmar, and it's literally just humans versus like undead. I think there's more. It's been expanded, so like I don't think you play like a specific army anymore. You just play good or evil, like it's the Alliance or the Horde. But then, like, I don't know. All I know is there aren't Skaven anymore.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm having a look. Can I get, like, Wood Elves? I'm going to Google on, like, this Games Workshop.
I think there might still be Wood Elves, but they're just wrapped up in, like, the good guys' army. I'm not 100% sure.
You can get a Wood Elf Blood Bowl team.
Oh, Blood Bowl's sick. Hambo, you ever play Blood Bowl?
I played that D&D game with you, but I've never played Blood Bowl.
Oh, it's the best. Blood Bowl I prefer Blood Bowl to Warhammer. Did
you do better at Blood Bowl than you did at Warhammer? Is that kind of why you liked it?
Just about, yeah. It's a supreme game. So it's American football, right? Set in the Warhammer universe. I had a Skaven team. I can't remember what you called it. I had a really good name for them, but I can't remember. But as you played, right, they'd have movement, they'd have like strength. It's American football, so anyone can hit anyone. It's not rugby where you can only hit the person with the ball. Except you could just straight up kill people or injure them. And there were like lingering injuries. So like, oh, my star runner like lost a point of movement in the last game, but that'll only go away after they play 3 games. So I have to put them on my team for this game to get them to like work off the injury. But they won't be able to run as fast, so I have to like account for that. And when you gained enough experience from successfully passing, successfully injuring, and scoring, you'd level up and you'd get new abilities. So like I had a catcher, right, who had an ability called Nerves of Steel. So regardless how many players were surrounding him, he never suffered any penalties to catching. He'd just jump up, grab the ball. Sick. And I had a runner, one of my runners, who had a mutation. He had extra long legs, so he could jump over enemy players. It was the coolest thing. I loved playing Blood Bowl because I played it on Oscar. Same Oscar had the original like tabletop game that his dad had owned like when it came out originally, and it was so cool. There were these like really old school paper figurines. Like it was just a piece of paper you'd stick into a little plastic stand, and those were the pieces. And they didn't have Skaven, so I'd always play with orcs, and I'd have to like keep a little key of like, well, orc means like a storm vermin character, and like goblins are my gutter runners, and that sort of thing. And it was just so I don't know if it's just nostalgia, like rose-tinted spectacles, but like
it probably fully is.
It probably is. But the board game and then the 2 video games, there was Blood Bowl 1, and I had Blood Bowl like Chaos Edition or Legendary Edition, and then Blood Bowl 2 where they got a new developer. Very good. A very well designed game.
See, I'm another one that one of my friend mentioned, because we were talking about all these things. Another one he mentioned, and I'm actually looking at I'm now on a model site working. I'm getting fully deep down into like Pokemon models. I don't think it's for a game. I think it's the sake you get a model. Was Star Wars Legion, which I reckon our group of friends would adore, and it's basically Warhammer but Star Wars.
Like on a person scale, because I know Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars.
Oh yeah, on a person scale. Something. So you can get like Clone Wars. You can get a Clan Ren, a Legion core set, which got the characters you'd expect. You can get like individual figures for different people. You can get a Dewback rider.
Oh, I love those guys, big frog lizard things.
But a good one. You can get bloody Cad Bane.
Oh, Cad Bane's so cool.
Can you get who's the best? What's that guy's name? The lovable pirate. Hondo. Can you get Hondo?
Naka. This endeavor is no longer profitable, and then he runs away.
You can get Sabine Wren, but I don't think you can get Hondo. You can get a Legion Separatist Specialist.
Hondo will not take part in this game.
I think you can get some ships, but I think it's like some spaceships, and you can get vehicles, but it's designed to be more like on the ground clones and droids and stormtrooper and rebels. It's not meant to be, but I think it is also like modern Warhammer, as you've described it, where I think it's a little bit more like you've got the rebels and you've got the Sith and and the bad guys, and you've got the rebels and the good guys. You can kind of mix and match a bit more. This pre-show is going on. I think I'm going to cut the opening bit. I just want to talk about Warhammer because finally talking about our group of friends. I've been playing with Izzy and her brother and her mum as well. A game called Betrayal at the House on the Hill, and it's made by the Wizards of the Coast, and it's fully the next board game that our group of friends should play as well, because it's very good. Izzy isn't the biggest fan of RPGs, and she's not enjoying it very much, but I think for that reason, because it's very RPG-esque. Yeah. But it's just such a good game. I have loved it both times we've played it. Wilkie, what do you feel like rating Warhammer as? Because I feel like that was what with all that nostalgia you were feeling. What do you?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the nostalgia blinding me, but I definitely do only want to be reviewing here like old school Warhammer, or like at least what I see as old school, the Warhammer that I played as a kid. Because I don't know that I'm necessarily even reviewing. This is so hard. I'm not even reviewing like Warhammer as a business, but like the Warhammer I played, regardless of the fact that I lost every time. That's only really become a thing these days when it's like a funny story, like, oh god, I couldn't win a single game. Back then, nothing but fun. So my experience of Warhammer as a kid, good, absolutely. Blood Bowl as well.
This has become less of a pre-show and more of just a Warhammer podcast.
I mean, I don't hate it. Okay, I don't hate it.
Is this now the podcast? Is this just like we talked about Warhammer?
I'm more than happy for this to be the podcast. Like, this feels like I don't know. Now that you've drawn attention to it, we have to stop and do the real podcast. But
we can like we can make this like its own spin-off thing, because I don't know if have you got a topic you want to talk about this week?
I do. I wasn't especially married to it. I'm more than happy for Warhammer, like old school Warhammer, to be my topic, and like to retroactively make that my topic.
I'm now worried though we don't have a pre-show, but is it that important?
I'm not gonna lie, Hambo, we haven't sunk either.
We haven't sunk either, and we're half an hour in. Fuck's sake. Oh, this is going to be such a pain in the ass to find.
I'm sorry, Hambo. Forgive me.
Forgive me, Father. But I've had so much fun talking about Warhammer. Yeah. You know what, Wilkie? I think maybe we do just now make it that we just have an episode. We don't have a pre-show or anything like that. We just have like clip. We just have these clipped shows. I don't know. What is Boy Review anymore?
Is Boy Review... Wait, hang on. This is episode 25, no?
Yeah, Boy Review 25. Has Boy Review evolved?
Boy Review could be a Geodude, a Ghastly, Natu, Remoraid, Fanpy, Wingull, Roggenroller, Timburr.
Oh, Roggenroller is a good one.
Rockruff. Hambo, is Boy Review evolving? Because I've been thinking, like, I have genuinely been thinking, has the one of us, the other one group topic been holding us back a bit? Because I feel like maybe we get a bit stuck in like red tape of like, oh, we have to give a review. So like this was really like, I think that system worked really well on the radio when this was live, but I think
we can cut out all the shit, Wilkie.
Yeah.
we can just trim the fat. And we've got a podcast. Yeah, I Wilkie, because I'm with you, and I feel like though having the three like we have to do 3 reviews has like fully kind of ground it a little bit more. It's like part of me is like been trying to push to do like these weirder reviews where we like do a longer form thing as a theme, because it's like trying to push out of something more traditional and we hopefully have a bit more fun. But yeah, I think that was what we were looking for. Just
and
like
some stuff like the Du Bois Society, like. Doing Boy Beats World was never like a topic. Boy Beats World was something that replaced my topic on weeks when we had guests, right?
Yeah.
I think we've been trying to break out of this format for a while now, but then we've been pushing ourselves back in.
We should, because I think bringing a topic is a smart idea. Like if we don't happen to get onto anything, having something where I can be like, you know what, Wilkie, I want to talk about this thing this week is be fun. And like, I reckon we'll probably still bring like one thing each week to talk about. Cause like, Wilkie, I really want to talk about my topic this week.
Yeah.
Because I'm very excited to do it. But
I was going to talk about either gyoza, so like Japanese dumplings, or pickle. Yeah. Cause I talked about, I mentioned them last week, but I was on this whole color thing. So I had to do that. I was going to talk about them. I was going to talk about pickling, like the process of pickling food, right? But I don't know. That was just because I like pickles, right? But I don't know anything about it, so I think I'm gonna go and like learn how to make.
I don't know why I've had such a big reaction to that. It's like I want to talk about pickling because I like pickles, and it's just like. Why not just talk about pickles?
I don't know why. Because they don't have a Wikipedia page. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like, literally such a strong example. I had literally picked those because I just knew I had to talk about something.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, well, Wilkie, you know what? I think Boy Review, I don't know which Pokemon to go for. Maybe a nut, maybe Fampi's quite cute. And I think Boy Review is becoming more fun. You know, why don't we be a Timburr who's gone into a Gurdurr?
Gurdurr. It's
Gurdurr, and then
the villain from the Avondale game you weren't in, Gurdurr.
Yeah, okay. Because in our D&D game, there's this big bad called Gurdurr, but I have no clue. I think that's right, but it's just like so I don't know who this person was.
It's a real character, right, from Forgotten Realms canon, called Gornadar, I think, or Gaunadar is the pronunciation. But yeah, like none of us ever really we never agreed on how to pronounce it, and our DM Sophie back then like just sort of lent into it and never actually corrected us on how to actually say it. And so now in Avondale 2, it's become like borderline canon that just as basically a smear campaign, like we disseminated the old party disseminated all these like fake pronunciations so that because the whole point was that like people Gurnurr as a god or something, a godlike being, had power because he had followers, and so if we could make sure no one ever agreed how to pronounce his name, he'd never be able to come back.
Gurnurr doesn't have any followers because we're all followers of Gurnurr.
Gurnurr, and so it's just become such a meme that we do Gurnurr.
It's not like fucking I think one of the best lines in any Marvel movie is in one of the worst movies, which is Thor: The Dark World, and it's fucking Darcy calling Mjolnir like Mimir.
Mimi.
Because it's just like fully going in. It's like, how the fuck do you say MJLNIR?
Oh,
like,
okay. So there's a this is completely derailing this, but also like there's a I don't know what company it is, but they make cricket bats, and
okay,
they named one of their cricket bats Mjolnir, right? Because it's like it hits things hard, and that's like a cool name for a cricket bat. And I got so unreasonably angry at people who pronounced it wrong at school, right? So this is like prep school, so like years 7 and 8. And people would call it Majolna. And I got so angry. I
mean, like kids have that thing, Wookie. You're not wrong. Like it's like you get invested. It's like, you know what? No, you're wrong. Stop it.
There came a point, I think, where they were doing it deliberately to irritate me because that was funny. Because I was overreacting. But
yeah, no, I'm with those kids.
It's like, it's Mjolnir, and they're like Majolna.
That's shitty kid behavior.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Kids be kids though.
Kids do be kids.
Well, Wilkie, in terms of kids being kids, I want to talk about a film I watched this week, Wilkie, because a few weeks ago.
Oh, I have one more thing that is just going to be on my mind unless I say it. You mentioned Thor: The Dark World.
Okay, you say it.
I talked about Thor: The Dark World in my French GCSE exam because we had to talk about something we did, like talk about like a day we had, and so I talked about going to see Thor: The Dark World with my girlfriend at the time, and so but in French it's not Thor, it's Tor. And so, and I asked my teacher, like, how, like, should I say it in English or should I translate it? So she's like, translate it. And I was like, okay. So I said I went to go see Thor, Le Monde Noir. Thor, the Black Planet. And it's like, that's not quite as cool.
That is really good. I don't remember where. It's just like, I don't know where it's from, but it's like, I don't know where I Am Thud, God of Hammers was from, but it's something I've heard once. And I thought it was one of the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Thud.
Like Thor's long lost brother. It's probably an MCU bit. I've been just seeing so much MCU this week. Well, recently. It's been good, Wilkie. It's been so good. Right. Well, speaking of films as well, Wilkie, because you talked about how you watched a bunch of like Disney Channel original movies. They're on Disney Plus. Like a lot of these. Yeah,
like Zombies 2, How to Build a Better Boy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really want to watch Zombies. It's like I really want to watch it. And I particularly want to watch it after watching some of these cruddy movies because Izzy and I have watched a great film. It's got a great title as well. It's called The Secret Society of Second-Born Royals. Right? Okay, Wookie. So I'm going to repeat that again because I can't not giggle when I say it.
I think I've seen this on Disney Plus, but go on.
Have you seen the movie?
I haven't watched the film. I think I might have watched the trailer.
Okay, well, you maybe watching the trailer, you know what it's about. But
it's still such a buckwild concept, yeah.
What do you know what the concept is for this film?
Is it just that like so you've got royal families around the world, their firstborn children, because of how royal ascendancy works, firstborn children are going to become the ruler. Secondborn children, as a consolation prize, get... It's either superpowers or Kingsman-style spy training.
Wookie, it's both.
Of course it's fucking both!
Because it turns out that being rich powerful and having no responsibility aren't good enough already. You're also going to get superpowers and Kingsman-style training and become part of a secret society that protect the world.
What the hell? They really should have given the superhero super spy training to people who had worse things to be doing, right? So it should be like the secret society of second born, like children born into low income households. It's like, it doesn't have the same ring to it, but like society is already very much working in these kids' favor, and now they also get superpowers and spy training.
Because, okay, Wilkie, this is going to be major spoilers for this film, but it's too buck wild to not talk about. Because firstly,
go for it.
That's the premise. The main character is a second-born royal for a made-up country. I think it's called like Iliana or something. Her name specifically is Sam. I think the country's called like Iliana. It's got an I.
What's the other film you talked about where there was a made-up country?
Oh, Christmas Prince.
What was it called? Aldovia or something.
Aldovia. They do not make an appearance.
Oh, that's sad.
That'd be
such a crossover. Oh my god.
Netflix and Disney did not do a crossover, unfortunately. But the first thing you meet of this character is that she is a rock. She wants to be a rock star because, of course, she does. She has money and a lot of free time, so she's playing in a rock band. And her first thing is she's singing about being anti the monarchy, which, okay, kind of a cool maybe concept for like a royal that's anti the royal family. Does not come up from her character again.
What?
She does this one thing in the opening, not a thing.
And then as soon as she learns that the monarchy is benefiting her, she's like just like very quietly puts her guitar away. It's like, a band? I've never been in a band. No. My superpowers.
Okay. Yeah, she gets superpowers.
Pay no attention.
In what is like, she breaks into a club and then has this reaction, which is very much like someone thought, like, you know, it would be funny. Let's make it look like she's taken like ecstasy or something, is having a bad trip.
What?
And it's like the reaction that she goes through is very much like that. But obviously, it's Disney films that don't say that. Wilkie, you've got a main character and you've got to give them superpowers. You want them to be cool, right?
Yeah.
What superpowers are you giving your main character? Like, even like, I'll give you like 3 guesses with a cool superpower.
Okay. Fantasy, was it not Fantasy High? That's the Dimension 20 show.
Sky High.
Sky High, right?
Yeah.
The sort of the quintessential main character suite of powers: flight, invincibility, laser eyes, as like one combo.
No. Also, I'll give you firstly no. And surprisingly, none of those are powers for the main characters that are in the show. None of them have flight, super strength, invisible, like strong laser eyes, or invincibility. Firstly, all the second-born royals have exclusive superpowers, and they all really only do one. Like, they have one thing, so they don't have like a combo thing. They have one thing that is their power. So, but that's one guess. Unfortunately, you got it wrong, and it's none of those.
Okay. I sort of felt like that was going to be wrong.
Cool.
I just wanted to mention Sky High. So, Kat. Was that her name? No, not Kat. Sam.
Her name's Sam. Sam. Yeah.
What is that? There's another thing with the Kat and Sam as a. Is that iCarly? No.
Kat and no, that would be Carly and Sam. Kat and Sam. That might be it. That does sound like a thing. Is that like Shake It Up or Wilkie? Wilkie is looking it up.
It's called Sam and Cat. It's called Sam and Cat. It's got Jeanette McCurdy and Ariana Grande as Cat, right? It's the one with Ariana Grande in it. That's where I got that from. So Sam, I think Sam can teleport.
So, Wookie, that's a really good guess. Not right, unfortunately. No,
it's good because it's close.
No, there's a good guess. It's like that would be a good superpower.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a good idea.
Just regardless of what I'm trying to guess, being able to teleport would be sick. But completely wrong. Okay.
Her mum can do that. Her mum can teleport. So that is a power for someone.
So wait, her mum was also a second-born royal.
Yes, but is now currently the ruler of a country because her husband died.
Okay.
One guess, Wilkie. Come on.
Can I? Okay. Can you give me like the genre that the power would fit into. So, for example, teleportation, super speed, flight would fall under like mobility, or like laser eyes, super strength, invincibility would fall under combat.
Annoyingly, her powers are kind of a would fall into would fall into one of those categories as like that is what the power is. So I'm gonna say like tactical, like they're a useful power for like tactics.
Can she see through objects? X-ray vision.
No, but again, that would be useful. And her power isn't useless, but her power is just heightened senses. She can see real good and heal real good. And she's the main character. Like they thought that would be fun. She can like, so her training, like they do a quick training montage to have them all boosting. Hers is just her standing in front of like 20 screens, which are all playing sound, and she has to pick out which sound is coming from what. The guy's like, what did the kid ask for from Santa? And she's just like, I don't know. And she's got to like work it out over time. And that's going to be like a cool training montage of her just sitting there trying to listen.
That's not cool at all.
She also has zoom in vision. Her first use of her powers is she sees the bouncer put in the keypad code into the...
That sucks!
The other superpowers, okay, there's a guy that can control bugs. That's actually kind of useful.
That's quite cool, actually, yeah.
There's one of them she's a social media star. She turns invisible.
Okay, that's a superpower.
Yeah, one of them can use one of the other people's superpowers so that she can like take it from them. I think. Well, okay, because they established that she's taking the power from them sometimes, but they also kind of suggest as well that she can leave that person with their power as well. It's not established whether she takes it and uses it for herself or whether they have it as well. Final person can just tell people what to do and they have to do it.
What?
So he will just be like, I want the top, like give me the top bunk, and they'll be like, cool, yeah, and so the other person is obliged to do what they say. It's like the command spell in D&D.
Yeah. What it just works?
On most people, like some of like the main villain and other strong-minded people, it doesn't work on.
Nice and generic and vague, yeah.
Yeah, like weak-minded people it works on, but it's just like, and okay, so there's that. So the suite of powers, not a great suite. The teacher can like multiply themselves. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's
and
pretty
the main
cool.
villain has
useful
like
for teaching,
psychic powers. Like, can move things with his mind.
So is the villain also a second-born royal who's like been betrayed by the organization, so he turns evil?
No, the villain is actually a good guy in terms of like actually political, because the villain is the brother of Sam's father.
So Sam's uncle.
Okay, who was Sam's uncle, who was presumed dead. Turns out the uncle killed the dad because the dad, before he was king, was like, yeah, I think democracy is a good idea. Because, like, a thing to note, apparently in a lot of these kingdoms, the monarch is the ruler and makes the decisions.
Yeah, rather than not like it is here.
Not like it is here. And Sam's dad was like, yeah, I think a parliament type thing would be cool. Becomes king and is like, nah, I'm king now. Ain't that jokes? And so the guy, his brother, kills him and wants to impose a democracy.
How is he the villain?
And so the premise is he's a villain because all of the royal families from all over the world are coming to the coronation of Sam's sister, who's becoming queen because she's becoming 18. So she's finally able to take her from her mum.
Yep.
And so the villain was going to, because all the royals have a similar enough blood, they are all genetically similar enough for this device that was shown earlier on in the movie that would basically be able to trap them in it. So he was going to trap all of the royals in this thing who've all come to the coronation, and then it was going to be like, well, there's no monarchs now, so I guess we've got to do politics.
Wait, their genetics are all similar
enough.
By the power of incest, I put you in this Pokeball!
Yes! You're not wrong!
That's so stupid! What?
And then in the end, like, they do involve but it's like meant to be this cool thing from the new queen. It's like, yes, as my first royal duty, I will impose a parliament that will get some say in the decisions. It's like, some say?
Only some?
That's only bullshit. Some.
That's such a trope though, right? Because it's such a like a nice shortcut to making a a villain that people will sort of feel sorry for, but also like an enjoyable film, is have them have like justifiable like a justifiable goal, but just be a massive dick about it.
Yeah.
Like most superhero villains have fairly reasonable goals, you know, making sure that superheroes aren't exempt from the law, making sure that, you know, like even like the Joker, like the Joker is basically just about like challenging the structure of society, but the way he does it is so morally reprehensible that you're okay considering him a villain. He's like, it's not about the money, it's about sending a message, it's about, you know, that sort of thing. That's like, that would be a fairly reasonable viewpoint if the guy wasn't a psychopath, if he didn't do psychopathic murder about it.
Yeah, and then it's like, and you know how I'm going to prove it? I'm going to have 2 boats, one each with a bomb on, and some of them are prisoners, and some of them are regular people, and who's going to blow each other up? Hey!
And it's like, that's like, so yeah, this guy has like an incredibly reasonable standpoint that maybe one person shouldn't control everything, but then they just make him be a dick about it.
A dingus.
And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do war crimes about it.
Oh, and also, final thing of the film, there is one other villain. In the in the most obvious plot twist ever, the person that can steal powers is working with the psychic guy.
Yeah, that's fair. That'll happen.
It was very much telegraphed throughout the entire film. Even the voice, like, because at one point the villain is on the phone to somebody, and the person on the other end is voice modulated. So it's like, okay, obviously you're telegraphing that it's someone that we'd recognize the voice of.
Yeah.
But like the voice modulation isn't the best, and it does sound like, of all the people, it sounds the most like that actress that plays the person that can steal powers. Like the way the person speaks on the other end of the phone.
Yeah. Oh my god. I kind of want to watch this now. Just, you know.
It's very much one to watch with other people and just laugh at. Is it good? No. But is it so bad it's good? Yes.
So it's, like, where does so bad it's good fall on? Because we had this conversation before when we talked about a Christmas journalist or whatever it's called.
A Christmas Prince. It should have been a Christmas journalist.
Like, where does so bad it's good fall on good to bad?
I think it falls at a good bad. Like, it's a bad film. It is not good, but it is fun. There is good to be found in this bad thing. So I think it's a good bad film.
Yeah.
We should have like a little thing go off whenever we give a good. When we give a good, an angel gets its wing.
No, when we give a good rating, a podcast gets a new follower, and it's this podcast, and it's you.
Yeah, and if you're a new follower and you've liked listening to this podcast, you know, give us a like, give us a subscribe, maybe share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us if you didn't like the show, share us with your enemies, and maybe be like, yo, here's something you can listen to, because I didn't like this thing and I want to spite you. And if you want to tweet at the show, you can do so using #BoyReview and then put another hashtag. You know, if you want to, what was your Warhammer army? Put #BoyReview, #Warhammer, and we will, you know, talk about what it was on the show. We did the Boy last week, and I think people could tweet at us, but I don't know if anyone ever does because we don't get many tweets.
The only tweet currently in the Boy Review hashtag is your tweet about Lady Gaga Oreos.
Oh, Wilkie, I've just had the realization I made a bunch of dumb, fairly crude sex jokes at the beginning of this, fully thinking, oh, that's going to go in the YouTube exclusive promo and not in the actual show. And then we've changed it.
That was my plan all along. I had to rework the entire podcast to make it to force your hand into including those sex jokes.
And then my parents are gonna judge me. Well, you know, mum and dad, I'm sorry. I'm a disappointment. Where are we? Saying goodbye, and then we've got to sync up to this, Wilkie.
And then we got to
don't leave until we've sunk. Okay, it's a goodbye from me,
and it's a goodbye from me.